Hey everyone, I'm your host Cadence, and welcome back to another episode of Project Honesty, a podcast designed for young adults by a young adult to gain brutally honest, friend-like advice, as well as provide a platform for young adults to form opinions, color outside of the lines, take deep dives into current events, and most importantly, have fun. This is Project Honesty, navigating reality with real conversations and diverse opinions. If you haven't already, go check out last week's episode called Let the Sparkles Speak, the dangers and reality of the cosmetics industry. In this episode, I shed light on a topic not commonly talked about, the mica industry. I go over the largest exporters of this precious mineral, its uses and importance, and I talk about what happens behind the sparkle, the dangerous, unethical, and inhumane working conditions for those working in India's top mica-producing region, Jharkhand. That is available on Spotify and YouTube. Today's topic, if you haven't already seen it on our Instagram, is my personal response to the 2024 US presidential election. Unlike most of my episodes, I sit here with no notes today. Typically, when I record, I have a page of notes in front of me to help me communicate what I want to talk about and the important key speaking points about the topic that I'm discussing. But today requires no notes to communicate my anger and confusion and sadness around these election results. As a woman, this election result scares me. Not only for myself and my bodily autonomy, but for every single person with a uterus in America right now. Soon, a life-saving, essential reproductive medical procedure will no longer be available to those who need it most. That is scary. As a woman, it is also scary to have a man in office who has sexual assault allegations against him, who has said on record that he would date his own daughter if she wasn't his daughter. As a woman, this election angers me and frustrates me because women in America and all over the world, frankly, have worked so hard their entire lives for every single opportunity they have gotten. This government does not value that hard work and doesn't see women as full citizens. That is scary. That is not a joke anymore. That is scary. There are little girls going to school in America right now seeing guys wearing MAGA hats and going home and saying, "Mommy, what is that?" That is a sign of blatant sexism. As a woman, this election worries me because I don't even know if I am valued as a human if I stepped inside of the United States of America right now. As a woman, I am scared that the person who will be in office in January is supported by people who say shit like this.
We control your bodies. Hey, bitch, we control your bodies. Guess what? Guys win again, okay? Men win again.
As a woman, this election result points to the clear fact that it was never, ever about us. It was about control of us. As a person who likes both genders, I am wondering what this election means for my sexuality. How will America's government view me once Trump is in office? Do I get the same rights that I did for the last 4 years if I was an American citizen? As an artist, I am angered. This election has the potential to impact my passion of using my voice to uplift others and share their diverse stories on a stage. How does this election impact my storytelling ability, and how is it cut off and shortened by government rules? As an artist, I am scared for the artist community in America, knowing that now their voices will be limited by the rules that a white, old, rich man will be making. As an artist, it is a privilege to use your voice. It is a privilege to use your body. It is a privilege to get up on a stage. It is a privilege to speak to a camera. And as an artist, this election points to the fact that those freedoms and those privileges are only guaranteed if there is a person in government who respects that. And Trump is not one of those people. As a listener and an ally, I am still and will remain a solid ally to both the LGBTQ+ community as well as the trans community in America. Now, my support will be focused on reminding these people in these communities that their existence is valid, that they are still a human, and that their government has no say in how they choose to identify. Instead of caring about real issues like economy or the homelessness crisis or, oh, God forbid, the broken, unaffordable, unethical healthcare system in America, they are still focusing so much on what is in a child's pants. Why does that matter? Why are a bunch of old, influential, powerful white men deciding what happens to these children? That is not okay with me. As a white person, I hold genuine concern for the BIPOC community and BIPOC Americans and their future, and how this election is going to impact their opportunities that they have worked their asses off for that are now being diminished by a white man. As a white person, it is disappointing to see another white person try and take away and erase opportunities from people of color. That is something that has happened for years, and finally have we started trying to bridge the gap between race and opportunity. And with Trump in office, that simply will not happen. As a person who is middle class, I am worried about what this means for the working class in America. The people working so hard for everything that they earn and not getting the tax cuts they deserve, and instead having to exist under a government who gives only the top earners tax breaks that they don't fucking need. A billionaire does not need a tax break, but you know who does? The single mom who has no other support at home, has 3 kids, and can't afford rent, who can't afford to put gas in her car, who can't afford to keep the lights on, who can't afford diapers for her child, so she steals them. That is who deserves a break. Yet under Trump's government, that will never ever happen, because Trump's government has been always focused on giving the rich whatever they want in order of favor. If Trump truly cared about what is happening to people in America, he would not do that. But yet, he sits here and he does it and he gets away with it. As a student and a learner, I'm concerned for the future of American children. How this election will change the face of education in America, and how diverse learning opportunities for children will now be limited. Trump wanted to get rid of the Department of Education, leaving education to be a state decision. He also endorses the fact that religion and God should be taught in schools. Now, as someone whose outlook on God is very, very confusing, I still believe that there should be a separation between religion and education. Nowhere in the world, unless it's in a religious school, should there be a Bible in the classroom. That doesn't sit right with me. That also goes to say that there should be a separation between church and state. Major political decisions should not be influenced by your religious outlook. That is not the point of what it means to be a president. You are not the president to force your religious beliefs on millions upon millions of people. That is not your job. Your job is to look out for these people's best interest. As a Canadian, I'm worried for what this election means for my government. What is my government going to do? Is the Canadian government going to follow in America's footsteps? It's also terrifying knowing that my neighboring country, who holds a lot of influential power over what my government does, will soon be run by a fucking convicted felon. The fact that people in America, apparently the majority of people in America, chose a convicted felon who also happens to be an old, rich, white man with a hell of a lot of privilege, the most privilege you could get as a person on the social pyramid, Trump's at the top, instead of a highly educated, well-respected woman who is more than capable of committing herself to be president, to do the job correctly, and who listens to the people, and who has worked in government her whole life, who is not money-driven or money-focused or attention-focused. A woman who doesn't do things in order of favor by dictators who are outright dangerous. A woman who would not put national security at risk, who hasn't had hush money charges and national security crimes and sexual assault crimes. The fact that a convicted felon was chosen over that will never, ever, ever make sense to me. Ever. In conclusion, I am scared. I am angry and I am confused. This election was terrifying to watch. I remember I was on the phone with a friend. I was up till maybe 11:30 my time, so I wasn't able to get the results until the morning, but going to bed wondering what the hell is going to happen while I am asleep. That was not a fun feeling. There are so many things that I could say right now, but it would honestly just be more of my aggressive tone speaking into a mic, and I honestly don't think that's going to do anything other than make me more frustrated. And I think knowing the fact that he is going to enter the Oval Office in January, it's not so much preparing. I think it's really starting to focus on the people, and what matters more. And I think just really trying to uplift those who are extremely affected by this election. And even though I just explained how this election impacts me negatively, I still sit in a position where I am relatively okay. I am a Canadian, first of all, so this is not my instant reality. I am not American. I am a white person. That gives me a lot of privilege already as it is, but being a white Canadian, witnessing this election, I sit in a place where it is still my duty to use my privilege in order to uplift those and validate those who aren't seen under Trump's government. Yeah, there's so much I could say, but I think I communicated my point. I knew this episode was going to happen. And either way, if it was Kamala or if it was Trump, this episode was going to happen. But I feel, as a podcast host, I get to sit here every week and talk and try my very best to bring awareness to issues that matter most, to issues that people aren't aware of, to issues that aren't necessarily in my reach of what I experience on a day-to-day basis. And I think this episode, as a podcast host, it was very important for me to have this because, again, it's my duty and I get the privilege to be able to continue my work of listening to marginalized communities and sharing their diverse stories, giving them the light. And yeah, this episode was very necessary. It's a little bit short, but it's extremely important to me, and I know to a lot of other people. So thank you so much for listening to another episode of Project Honesty. You can find Project Honesty on Spotify at Project Honesty or on YouTube at Project_Honesty. And to keep up to date with new episodes and topics, you can head over to Project Honesty's Instagram, which is at Project_Honesty24. Our TikTok is Project.Honesty. And we also have a website. The link for that website is in our Instagram bio. To help spread this podcast everywhere, tell a friend or share with family about Project Honesty, and you can direct them over to the Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, or website to help them learn more. Subscribe, follow, and click the bell icon for updates when I post. And remember, the more listeners, the bigger the family.